everyone, welcome to back my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. This story discusses topics including sibling sexual abuse. J.D. Osborne is set to receive important test results in his ongoing cancer storyline in Hollyoaks. Before the Channel 4 soap jumped forward a year into the future, Frankie Osborne bravely told her father Darren about the sexual abuse she had suffered for years at the hands of her brother JJ. After the time jump, Frankie continued to seek legal action against her twin, but just before his plea hearing, JJ collapsed in court and was diagnosed with leukemia. Hollyoaks Frankie gives Dylan an ultimatum after baby reveal. Darren found himself torn between how to support both of his children at the same time, and his relationship with Frankie is fraught after she discovered her father had supported JJ at the hospital, despite everything she had endured. In upcoming scenes, Darren is distraught about the hardships he is experiencing with both Frankie and JJ ahead of his son's test results coming back. At the hospital, JJ tells his dad how much he is missing his family after they banished him amid Frankie's revelation and ongoing legal proceedings. Hollyoaks airs unexpected James twist as Rex hides a secret. Darren opens up to him, but it's tough love as he tells him that while he wants him to recover, he also wants him to face Frankie in court. But how will his illness and test results affect the trial? JJ faces his greatest test. It was a crisp autumn morning in Hollyoaks, the kind where the chill in the air carried a certain weight, an invisible pressure that settled in the lungs and made the heart beat just a little faster. JJ, known for his boundless energy and carefree demeanor, sat silently in the hospital's waiting room. The sound of the clock on the wall ticking off the seconds felt louder with each passing moment, each tick a reminder that his life was about to change. Maybe for the better, maybe for the worse, but certainly forever. The room felt colder than usual, and not because of the weather. He glanced around at the sterile walls and the uncomfortable plastic chairs, the smell of disinfectant sharp in the air. Usually JJ could find something to distract himself, but not today. His mind was racing, filled with questions he didn't know how to answer, because there was no right answer. There were just possibilities, most of them terrifying. It had all started a few weeks ago, a seemingly innocuous ache in his side, a persistent pain that he brushed off as a pulled muscle from a football match. But when the pain lingered and his energy waned, JJ knew something wasn't right. The usually optimistic young man had tried to ignore it, telling himself it was just stress or overexertion, but deep down, a nagging voice warned him that this was something more. Finally, after some encouragement from his girlfriend, Perry, he'd gone to the doctor. That had led to more tests, and then more tests still. JJ had tried to keep it together, putting on a brave face for everyone, his mum, his friends, even himself, but inside, he was terrified. It wasn't until the word cancer had been whispered that the gravity of the situation truly hit him. Now here he was, waiting for the results. The most important test of his life, not a math exam or a fitness test, but something far more serious, his future. The world outside the hospital was carrying on as if nothing was wrong. People were living their lives, going to work, laughing with friends. But for JJ, time had stopped. Everything was on pause. Perry, sitting next to him, squeezed his hand. Her face, usually so full of life and mischief, was etched with concern. She'd been by his side through all of it, but even her presence couldn't stop the fear gnawing at his insides. "You'll be okay, JJ," she whispered, though he could hear the uncertainty in her voice. She was trying to be strong for him, and for that, he loved her even more. But JJ wasn't sure anyone could be okay after news like this. JJ's mom, Nancy, arrived at the hospital just then, her eyes scanning the room until they landed on her son. She'd been his rock throughout this ordeal, her maternal instinct kicking into overdrive when JJ had first told her about his symptoms. Nancy had tried to remain calm, though he could see the panic in her eyes, the way she bit her lip when she thought he wasn't looking. Now, standing before him, her expression was one of quiet determination. She was a fierce protector, and today was no different. She sat down beside him, placing a hand on his shoulder. "Whatever happens, we'll face it together," she said. JJ nodded, grateful for her words, but consultation room finally opened, and a nurse gestured for them to come in. JJ felt his legs turn to jelly as he stood up, Perry and Nancy flanking him as they walked into the room. Inside, the doctor was waiting, a folder of papers in his hand, his face professional but kind. "JJ, I know this has been a difficult few weeks for you," the doctor began. "The waiting, the uncertainty, it's never easy." He paused, as if searching for the right words. JJ's heart pounded in his chest, the room suddenly too hot, despite the cool temperature. The doctor continued, his voice steady. "We've got the results of your tests back, and while there is some good news, there are also some things we need to discuss." JJ felt his breath catch in his throat. His mind spun as he tried to grasp onto the word good and hold it tight, but the rest of the sentence lingered in the air, heavy and ominous. "The tumor we found is localized," the doctor explained. "That means it hasn't spread, which is a positive sign. But we need to act quickly. You'll need surgery to remove it, and possibly chemotherapy afterward, depending on how things go." JJ blinked, his mouth dry, as the words washed over him. Surgery. Chemo. It was real. This was happening. He wasn't invincible, not like he'd always thought. For so long, he'd been the guy who never let anything get him down, who bounced back from every setback. But this was different. Perry squeezed his hand again, her grip tighter now. "We're going to get through this," she said softly. JJ looked at her, then at his mom, who nodded in agreement, her eyes shining with unshed tears. The doctor's voice broke through the haze of JJ's thoughts. "I know this is a lot to take in, JJ, but you're young, and you're strong. You have every reason to be hopeful." Hope. It was a small word, but right now, it felt like the only thing keeping JJ from falling apart. He nodded, finding his voice at last. "Okay," he said, though his voice trembled. "Let's do this." As he left the hospital, flanked by the two most important women in his life, JJ took a deep breath. The road ahead was uncertain, and there were still so many battles to fight. But for the first time in weeks, he felt a glimmer of something he hadn't dared feel. Hope. Thanks for watching this video, and please subscribe our Hollyoaks Update YouTube channel for more update news.